Good morning. How are you? It's Esther. And how was your week? Nice to be back. And talk to us and to share. All of us sharing about different values. And this week we are looking at sincerity. Hello, Paul, Omara. Nice to see you here. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you are in any part of the world. So thank you for joining us. And those who don't know me, I'm Esther Kuganja Adedoyin, and husband and I always come here every Saturday to talk about different things and to share with all of us. Not because we are perfected in those things, but because we are all developing in those values and character traits. So this is part 21. You can never exhaust character, so it goes on and on. Hello, Haruna, Mr. Haruna Luvega, thanks for joining us. Please help me share on your timelines and let your friends also know about this. It may help, it may help somebody out there. So today I'll go on and start on our topic, sincerity. So usually we start with a definition. What is sincerity? What do we understand by that term? And we are guided by, dictionaries and also, to get the original meaning of the word. And sincerity means the absence of pretense, deceit, or hypocrisy. Sincerity is the absence of pretense, deceit, or hypocrisy. Has someone ever told you you're a very sincere person? Maybe that's what you portray to them. You showed no pretense, you showed no deceit, and you were not a hypocrite. So congratulations. Share with us how we and other people can also improve on themselves to be a more sincere person in their dealings with people and even with themselves. So that was the online dictionary. So I've always mentioned this organization called Character First Education. They also teach about values, and I always refer to their website. I like to their materials because I like their definitions and their simple teaching materials that are easy to understand even for small children. So I went on there and I checked out the definition for sincerity, and it is eagerly doing what is right with transparent motives. Eagerly doing what is right with transparent motives. So now we've seen that the definition or the meaning of sincerity is the absence of pretense, deceit, or hypocrisy. On the other hand, it is eagerly doing what is right with transparent motives. Yeah. So are there any situations in your life or around you where sincerity is practiced or absent? As we talk about this, refer to those situations, share with us, and let us find solutions together. And you may be on the platform and you're well, averse with this topic. Please share with us your understanding, your experience, give us examples and things that will help us understand this topic and how to develop this trait in our lives. Okay? So the concept of sincerity is all about doing what is right. And not just on the outside where people can see, but also in the inside. This means that you do what is right even when no one is watching you. Why? Because you are sincere with yourself and you want to be sincere with others. So if a person has wrong motives, the natural inclination is to hide those motives. And hiding wrong motives results in insincerity. When we hide our wrong motives, we're not being open, we're not being transparent. That is the opposite of sincerity. So, the motives that are not right in our dealings, in our relationships, we should be looking at how we should correct those motives. Hi, Sister June. You're welcome. Hello, Anfield. How are you? Thanks for joining us. So, yeah, thanks everyone for joining us. Okay. Yeah, so we're just looking at sincerity, and we are discovering that sincerity has got to do with our motives. And do we have any hidden agendas? Do we have the wrong motives in any situation? If they are wrong, then that situation forces us to hide those wrong motives. And this is the beginning of insincerity. Hello, Pastor Ian Tumosime. How are you? Thanks for joining us, sir. Hello, Mr. Obiodun. Thanks for joining us. How are you today? Hope you're well. So, we're just talking about sincerity, those who are joining us today. And we've just been looking at the definition, what can help us understand this topic better. And now we just want to dig straight into how we can grow this trait in us. Okay, we all have a degree of sincerity, but we can improve on it, we can expand on it in all other spheres of our lives. So how can we develop sincerity? Number one, determine to always mean what you say. The solutions look so simple, these are straightforward things, but it can surprise you how sometimes we miss the mark. So in every dealing, okay, always determine to mark your words, to hear yourself and ask yourself, do I really mean what I'm saying? Because it's one thing talking and it's another thing listening to yourself. Sometimes we just let out words, blah, blah, and actually we don't think about the other person who's listening. Our aim is to just release and not listening to ourselves. So sometimes it's good to be conscious of your words and to question yourself within, do I really mean what I'm saying? Okay, you're wondering, what do you mean, Esther? We all say things and we mean what we're saying. Okay, yes. But there are instances that even a kind word that is not sincere, okay, ends up being a damaging to another person. A kind word that is not sincere ends up being damaging to another person. I'll give an example. As someone, I don't know whether it's a good example, but people come to you and say, oh yeah, you look nice, your hairstyle looks nice, it suits you. And actually it's just a normal thing, people expect you to say comments like that, but in their heart they're thinking, it's not right, just want to make her feel happy. That's a kind word, but it's not sincere. Or someone always praising your cooking and in actual fact they detest your food. Yeah, have you ever experienced such a situation? Yeah, kind words that are not sincere end up being damaging. For those who are in the religious circles, I know you're familiar with this phrase, it is well. How are you, my sister? Maybe you've just had a tragedy. It is well. I don't want you to get me wrong. I'm not against faith. And I'm also aware of the teaching of positive confessions. But I also believe that our God desires transparency in the way we relate with Him. Take an instance. You are feeling you're not very well and you're ill. You go to hospital. You're reaching there. You're telling the doctor, so what can I do? The doctor is asking, how are you today? What can I do for you? Oh, doctor, I'm strong. It is well. How do you expect the doctor to help you? You have to be open. Oh, doctor, I'm not feeling well. I'm actually feeling sick, and these are the symptoms. Something is not right. So I believe you can help me, and I'll get better soon. That is more being positive and also showing your faith, but also being sincere with other people and also with yourself. Okay. So those are the examples that we should mean whatever we say. Okay, the next thing we have to be aware of in our pursuit of sincerity is being consistent with our words. Being consistent with our words. And this is more important when you are, in every relationship, but more especially in leadership. Because people are watching you, people hold you accountable to your words. You cannot be saying one thing about the same thing to one person and then say another thing to a different person. If it's the same object that you're talking about, it has to carry the same definition, the same comment to each and every person that you meet. Being consistent with your words. There are situations where someone is acting so friendly, so kind, so generous towards you, and so understanding. In fact, you call them a friend, and then in your absence, when they're with other people, they're talking, and it's contrary to what you know about them. So the person also who is among that group of people that they are talking to comes and tells you about that, and you're surprised. Say, oh no, this person told me that and this, or this is like this. How come it's different? Not being consistent with our words is a sign of lack of sincerity. So we have to watch out for that as well. There's a quote I have here by Charles Spurgeon. He was an English, he's late now, an English Baptist preacher. And once he said, sincerity makes the very least person to be of more value than the most talented hypocrite. I'll repeat. He says, sincerity makes the very least person to be of more value than the most talented hypocrite. What is he trying to tell us? So what he means here is that however talented you are, however gifted you are, if you lack sincerity, you have no value. There's truth in that. Another area we need to watch out is in our words, our sensitivity as we deal with people, as we share words. Are we a feeler in that situation? Being sensitive on how other people may feel is part of being sincere. Sincerity should not be used as an excuse to rudely say whatever is on your mind. Yeah, that's another point that, okay, you're telling us to be sincere. I'll tell people what I think or what I feel or what is true. You know, sometimes also being too forward, too sincere, let me put it like that, can end up being hurting towards people. I'll give an example. So if someone, for example, maybe you're sitting next to someone and you realize that they're not smelling very nice, okay? They're not smelling very nice. Because now you've had a topic, oh, I have to be sincere, I have to be sincere. You turn to the person and say, hey, my brother, you don't smell good today. You're being sincere, right? In your heart, you know you're sincere. But we are saying that sincerity has a balance of being sensitive as well. Last week we talked about, not last week, 2 weeks ago we talked about discretion. Okay, being careful with our words and actions in order to avoid adverse consequences. So there is a need for that in this as well. That being sincere doesn't mean you speak out your mind anyhow. Sometimes it's better to keep quiet than to say whatever's on your mind. That's also part of being sincere. Yeah. So being sensitive to other people. Every word that we speak or write has the potential to hurt or heal, to insult or encourage, to manipulate or motivate. We can decide what we want our words to achieve by carefully selecting them. Another quote I have here is by Oscar Wilde, an Irish poet and playwright. He said, "A little sincerity is a dangerous thing, and a great deal of it is absolutely fatal." So that fits in this point. I repeat the quote. Oscar Wilde say that a little sincerity is a dangerous thing, and a great deal of it is absolutely fatal. So what he's meaning here is that there is need to be sincere and sensitive at the same time, because part of being sincere, your words have to be healing, have to be motivating, have to be encouraging to other people, and not the opposite. That is also part of sincerity. Another point that will help us check ourselves in this journey of developing sincerity in our daily dealings is the attitude of being genuine all the time. Genuine. So you realize that it is so stressful trying to be someone you're not. It is. You try it. You tell me. For example, maybe you are in a team or group and your feeling of inferiority makes you want to act as though you know everything. That is hard work, because that's not who you are. And also maybe you're hurting inside and you want to hide under constant jokes to hide the hurt inside. That is still hard work, because when everyone goes away and you're alone, you go back to that pain alone. So you're not being genuine in that situation. Trying to win confidence from others when we are lacking from others, yet we lack that ourselves. That can also be hard work. So since being genuine makes a person vulnerable, sincerity must always be balanced by discretion. Yeah. Recognizing and avoiding those words and actions or attitudes that could cause undesirable consequences. So, total openness is not always appropriate. Sometimes it's better to keep quiet, okay, than to say what's on your mind. I've already mentioned that. So being discreet is often the first step towards being sincere. Being discreet is part of being genuine. Okay, another point that will help us develop sincerity. Before I move on, let me read some points. Some is saying, be careful, a kind word that is not sincere can be damaging to the person receiving it. So be conscious of your words. Yes. Be consistent with your words, especially in leadership. You have to say something about a subject and it's weighed to everyone with the same meaning. Charles Spurgeon says sincerity makes the very least person to be of more value than the most talented hypocrite. Yes. Sammy also says, be sensitive on how other people may feel. Sincerity should not be used as a point to express what it is exactly what you mean. You should have a balance. Sometimes it is better to be quiet. Oscar Wilde said, a little sincerity is a dangerous thing, and a great deal of it is absolutely fatal. That's true. June is saying, sincerity requires wisdom when it comes to timing and who is the audience. For example, there are things we cannot say in front of children. Yeah, that's so true. However much you want to say the truth, but it's not yet time for them to absorb that. So there's wisdom in that, June. Thank you. So I was moving on to a next point that can help us, or that can help us watch out on this journey of sincerity. That is making an agreement with yourself not to take advantage of other people. Making an agreement with yourself not to take advantage of other people. You may be surprised. Yeah. Sometimes when you're making deals or conversations, the back of your mind could say, but if I do this, I can have some money, I can have some advantage, I can do this, Always good to check yourself. Am I taking advantage of this person? So each time we're dealing with people, we need to ask ourselves some questions. Are my motives pure and transparent? If not, make them. Spell them out. Am I selfish? Am I selfless in this situation? Because if you're selfish, then it will also lead to insincerity. And do I have some hidden intentions? So all these are questions at the back of your mind, guiding you and helping you position yourself right so that you don't fall into the trap of taking advantage of other people. So we all need honest and sincere people and friends around us. So the first step to having them is becoming honest and sincere ourselves. It starts with us. Because whatever you are is whatever you attract most of the time. Yeah. Begin with yourself, and guess what? The right people will be attracted to you. So no one wants to be taken advantage of. Trust me, no one. So if you were to interview a group of criminals, asking them about what led them to that, what were they thinking as they did that act, whatever it was, if you assess their words and their answers, you discover that the bottom thing is mostly taking advantage of a situation. So lack of sincerity can ruin lives. To a big extent, can ruin lives. So that's something else to watch out for. Let me see what people are typing again. Sammy says, be genuine all the time. It is so stressful to be someone you're not. Try to see for yourself. Try it and see for yourself. If you're hurting and you try to hide under jokes, okay, missed that one. Okay, so June is saying sincerity requires truthful in the inside while taking into account the outcome to those around us. We should always ask ourselves, how will our actions or words affect others? Yeah, that's true. Sammy says, be honest and sincere. Ask yourself, am I taking advantage of this person or not? Are my motives pure and transparent? Am I selfish or selfless? Am I selfish or selfless in that situation? Yeah, we need to ask ourselves those questions. Okay. Then we need to commit to having a clean conscience. Commit to having a clean conscience. All these guidelines and points are surrounding and revolving around sincerity. Justifying our actions or covering up our wrongs does not make the guilty conscience go away. What does is identifying what character quality that we have violated by our wrong actions or attitudes, and then asking for forgiveness, taking whatever steps to make restitution, and not repeating the same wrong. Yeah. So I'll repeat that point. So in my notes here, I put that we should commit to having a clean conscience. And I say, justifying our actions or covering up our wrongs does not take away the guilt. What does is identifying what character quality has been violated by our wrong actions or attitudes, and then asking for forgiveness, taking the necessary steps to make full restitution, and committing to not repeating the wrong again. Examples could be paying back those who we have stolen from. If you want to be sincere with yourself, yeah, it can be painful, you have to work hard, you're losing things, but at the end of the day, you want to commit to having a clean conscience. So there's a price to pay. Paying back or taking back whatever we've stolen from others. Okay. Choosing to pay. This I think applies mainly in Africa. Situations whereby maybe the traffic police has stopped you on the road because you're overspeeding. Okay. And they ask you to pay a fine or to go to the police post and, submit something, and because you don't want to do that, you prefer to give a bribe. If you're pursuing a clean conscience, it's better to pay the price. Yes, you've made a mistake. Pay the fine, and that will make you not repeat the mistake again. So admitting and correcting our faults demonstrates true sincerity with ourselves and others. That, I think, can go a long way. I remember I watched a movie, I don't know the name of that movie, but hello, Eli Mwende, thanks for joining us, God bless you. So, a group of people were scamming churches, collecting money and offering from them, telling them they're doing missionary work in the developing world, and they go take pictures from the internet, they show the churches, oh, this is what we are doing. So churches were trusting them, they're collecting all this money, and they were amassing this wealth, buying cars and houses and, living a high life, until one day they were discovered. So they paid the price. I think one of them went to prison, and the other one, he was just so, I don't know. The church leaders decided to give him another chance, so they dropped the charges, but they asked him to pay back every penny he'd stolen from every church. This guy, he went, sold his property, sold the cars, everything he had acquired through, that stolen money, knocked on the door of each person. I'm sorry, I did last time when I came this, I did this, I was deceiving you, here's what I stole from you, I'm sorry. He goes back to another church, goes back to different homes, And guess what? At the end of the day, this guy, although he paid a price of being embarrassed, of being, some people didn't receive him so well, they were still angry. But at the end of the day, he had a clear and clean conscience. That is being sincere with ourselves and those around us. And it's a good lesson for all of us to learn from. So I think that's all I had today. It was brief on sincerity. Some is saying, commit to have a clean conscience. Justifying our actions and wrongs does not take away the guilt, but try to restitute, pay back or give back to the person. Admitting and demonstrating our faults can help in correcting wrongs. That is true. This is part of sincerity. Because many times, oh, I did it because they did that, we justify ourselves. But it's just stepping back and say, okay, where's my hand in this? What did I do wrong? How can I help? How can I correct this? Hello, Brother Paul. You're welcome. Thanks for joining us. So, in conclusion, I'll use the words of Mencius. He's a Chinese philosopher, and he once said that there is no greater delight than to be conscious of sincerity on self-examination. There is no greater delight than to be conscious of sincerity on self-examination. How true. So walking in sincerity has great rewards, not only to ourselves, but those around us as well. And we can see that the foundation of most of all these values is love. When you love others, when you love people, you find yourself being sincere with them. You will not want to take advantage of them. You want to mean what you say. You want to reserve your words so that you don't hurt. So this is something we need all to develop and improve on, whatever level we find ourselves. And as we do that, we shall always keep a clear conscience. And that's also part of health, Clear conscience is related to also being healthy, bodily wise, and, in your soul and your spirit. So those are the few words I had for us to share today. And I hope you picked one or two things that you run with for today. So the action point for this week is take time to examine your words and ask yourself, in whatever I'm going to say, am I selfless in this situation? Do I really mean what I'm saying? Just take time and think back before every word you say, every statement you say, in every situation. Practice sincerity and see and reap the rewards of it. Okay? So have a blessed weekend. God bless you, and see you next week. Okay, bye.